Good afternoon. Today I'll be discussing merit-based compensation systems, employer-sponsored healthcare benefits, and how biblical principles can help organizations create a balanced approach to compensation and overall employee care. Throughout this presentation, I'll explain the advantages and the disadvantages of merit-based compensation from the organizational and the employee perspective. And I'll also discuss why many companies continue offering healthcare benefits despite the rising costs, how these decisions affect recruitment, retention, and overall organizational culture. In addition to the textbook concepts from Noe et al., I'll also incorporate some real-world examples from my own workplace experience because I've personally seen how compensation systems and benefits direct kind of like a big impact on morale, trust, and employee motivation. First, I'll provide an overview of what merit-based compensation systems are and how they work, and then I'll discuss the benefits organizations can hope to achieve through these performance-based systems. After that, I'll cover some of the major challenges and some of the unintended consequences that organizations can experience when these systems aren't managed fairly or they're not consistent. I'll also discuss the importance of employer-sponsored healthcare benefits and explain why many organizations continue investing in benefits even as, unfortunately, the costs continue to rise. Finally, I'll connect these topics to biblical leadership principles related to fairness and stewardship and employee care. Merit-based compensation is a pay system where employee compensation is tied directly to performance and results rather than simply seniority or position. According to Noe et al., organizations use these systems to align employee effort with organizational goals to improve our overall productivity. Now, in my own workplace experience, I've seen merit-based systems work very well when expectations are measurable and they're clearly communicated. For example, in operational environments where productivity goals, sales numbers, or really efficiency improvements can be tracked, rewarding employees for strong performance also often increases motivation. It also increases accountability. I've also seen leadership use these systems to identify employees who consistently contribute at the higher level. They're your A employees. They go above and beyond. They want to feel often recognized for their efforts rather than receiving the same compensation as employees who are kind of doing the bare minimum just to get by. At the same time, I've learned that these systems really require a lot of communication and consistency. So if employees don't really fully understand how they're being evaluated, they can get frustrated really quickly. One major advantage of merit-based compensation is that it really encourages productivity and accountability. Now, employees often become more motivated when they know strong performance directly impacts their compensation. In one workplace I experienced, employees became much more engaged because leadership clearly connected performance outcomes with rewards and recognition. Employees understood what was expected, and that clarity really helped improve overall productivity. Another advantage is the employee retention. High-performing employees often want to work in organizations where effort and results get recognized. Some merit systems can help organizations retain those individuals because they feel valued for their contributions to the team. According to Noe et al., a performance-based system really does reinforce the desired employee behaviors. Now, from an organizational perspective, this can improve efficiency and also help companies with their achieving their strategic goals. From the employee's perspective, many workers appreciate transparency and accountability when the process feels fair. One thing we've started doing this year at our company is kind of like a State of the Union address. This is to give transparency and accountability of where we are, how things line up with them for their current market. Although merit-based systems can be effective, I've also seen challenges that come with them. Now, one of the biggest issues, always the perception of unfairness. If one workplace environment that I actually was a part of, employees really kind of became frustrated. I think evaluations varied, significantly between departments and supervisors, and some employees believed favoritism influenced the ratings, and that really damaged the trust and morale. But another challenge is that competition can sometimes reduce teamwork. So instead of employees collaborating to help each other, Individuals may be overly focused on standing out for themselves, right? Because they don't want to make other people look good. So this is for their personal gain. Noe et al. Explains that inconsistent evaluations and unclear expectations can weaken employee motivation. I believe this is especially true when communication is lacking. So I think this is why organizations must carefully balance performance expectations with fairness, with communication, and ultimately overall with employee support. It's in my opinion that merit-based compensation systems are the most effective when organizations create a balance between accountability and employee well-being. Now, rewarding strong performance is important because organizations need employees who contribute to company goals. However, organizations also need to maintain teamwork, trust, and fairness within that workplace culture. I've personally seen how compensation and benefits together influence morale and retention. For example, where I currently work, leadership made a decision to move from what we call a non-traditional healthcare program to a traditional PPO health plan. Now, that decision was not only about medical coverage, but as the leadership team, we realized, our people were going out and comparing benefits from our competitors, and the healthcare kind of created concerns during that process. And we actually just finished an overall understanding of pay linked to benefits, linked to bonus structure of how we stack up to our competition. Now, once our company moved to a PPO plan, the employees really viewed the organization as more competitive, right, and more invested in the employee well-being. Our morale improved, and employees really appreciated that the leadership team was willing to make that investment. So, according to Noe et al., organizations must balance performance systems with fairness and employee support to create long-term success. Overall, I believe merit-based compensation can be very effective when organizations use it fairly and consistently. Throughout my own workplace experiences, I've seen employees respond positively when expectations are clear, and leadership communicates openly about performance standards. That's something we're working on very heavily this year where I currently work. At the same time, really poorly managed systems can damage trust, morale, and if teamwork, if employees kind of believe that they're inconsistent and unfair. And I've also really learned that healthcare benefits are really an extremely important portion of the overall package, even with rising costs, because employees evaluate that full compensation package, not just salary alone. Now, organizations that invest in employees' well-being will often bring those strong cultures, improve the retention, and then strengthen employee loyalty over time. Healthcare benefits, I believe, continue to play a major role in the recruitment and retention strategies for organizations today. Sometimes it's about here's what or something that we offer as a benefit that sets us apart from company B. And I've personally seen candidates compare benefit packages. I've done it myself when moving between different jobs. Many employers are looking not only at salary but long-term stability and support for their families. One thing that we added this year along with the PPO was adding short-term disability and long-term disability that the company actually pays the premium for. At my current organization, doing this has really helped us in the applicant view be stronger and more traditional. I guess they would say traditional on like the benefits portion where we may have been lacking beforehand. Some biblical principles, I think, really provide an important perspective on compensation and overall employee care. And I really go back to Proverbs chapter 22 and verse 16 when it talks about warning against gaining wealth by exploiting others. And then if you looked at Colossians chapter 4 verse 1, it instructs leaders to treat employees fairly and justly. And I believe both principles are highly relevant in modern workplaces. In our organization, we're a Christian organization, and so we run as a business, as a ministry, and we have our core values. Those core values are tied to biblical references. We are very careful. We don't tell people you have to participate alone, but one of those is, applying the golden rule. So we like to treat each other the way that we want others to treat us as well. And in my opinion, I believe this environment that everybody responds more positively right? Because they feel like they're respected, they feel like they're valued, they know that we support them as individuals rather as just like the labor or the general help. And I think that ethical leadership really creates stronger trust, right? Overall improvement of morale, and really it contributes majorly to the long-term organizational success. And I do believe that organizations are most successful when they balance performance expectations with fairness, stewardship, and genuine care for the employees. Here is a reference page as well. Thank you.